Well, it was a couple of years ago I was here, and I remember it quite well. And it's just when you pass, it's just too good not to film. So this is the beginning of the Ocean Road, and my preferred way of doing it is coming from Geelong or Melbourne, going up towards Port Campbell. The reason that's a great idea is that you can pull in. There's lots and lots of places where you can pull in and get your photo, whereas if you're going the other way, on this side there's hardly any at all pull-in places. So yeah, the Great Ocean Road. What a stunning trip this is. I better make this quick. The helicopter's just about to come and land. I've got to say I'm very excited. I'm just about to take a helicopter flight over the 12 Apostles. That's courtesy of my brother, sister-in-law and nephews and niece. That's Bruce and Chris, and in alphabetical order, Adam and Liz, Ben and April, and Cameron and Christy and Kate. Thank you very much. So hang on. I'll take all of you viewers on board with me, and we'll see just exactly how exciting that is. Very exciting. Good morning, top of the morning to you. Now this is my second attempt. I was here yesterday. Yesterday was a magic day. Today is a bit of cloud and a lot of wind. But as you can see, the seas are really rough, and I guess that adds to another level to it. Hopefully in the next half an hour to an hour, the sun will come up enough to stream and get a bit of filtering light on it. So we'll just see how it goes. As you can see, try and pick a day if you can when it's not quite so windy. Well, there it is. Finally, I've waited 2 hours to get this shot. Even though it's a bit of a dull day and cloudy and rainy, the sun's come out, the clouds have drifted away a bit and the rain stopped. So that is absolutely superb. I'll let you enjoy it. On the 2nd of March 1878, the clipper Loch Ard left England for Melbourne under the command of Captain George Gibb. The ship had 36 crew, 18 passengers. And on the night of the 31st of May, the passengers and crew held a party on board to celebrate the end of the 3-month journey. The passengers were making themselves busy for their preparations. Land was near, but a thick mist, a real fog, come across, and Cape Otway light from the lighthouse couldn't be seen. Captain Gibb stayed on board throughout the night. At 4 a.m, the mist lifted, the lookout cried, "Breakers ahead!" And at that stage, it was all pretty much too late. As you can see over my shoulder, it gives you some idea of just how ferocious that water can be. And if you're in there, there is just no way out. You might be lucky enough to get through all of this, which is now known as Loch Ard Gorge. But after the Loch Ard crashed over there on the cliffs and the rocks, the chances of you getting and surviving out of all of that was very, very remote. And consequently, there was only 2 survivors. If you decide to drive the Great Ocean Road, apart from the fact you'll love it, when you get down near the end, so the whole distance starts at Torquay, ends at Ellinsford. Most people end up stopping at around about 12 Apostles. And at 12 Apostles, there's a couple of names you probably really would be handy if you knew them. That is Gibson Steps, and walking down the Gibson Steps, you can actually walk on the beach, which is great. Wouldn't suggest you swim, definitely don't fish, it's a marine reserve. The other name that comes into fore all the time is Loch Ard Gorge. Now Loch Ard has quite a history because that's where there was a very bad shipwreck. Loch Ard is a ship. It's an 80-foot clipper. Clipper means it's a sailing boat, has 3 masts. Now unfortunately Loch Ard had a bit of bad luck right at the beginning. On its maiden voyage it lost a mast. Went back and they repaired it. On another voyage, it lost all 3 masts, so having a bad run. And it got even worse. 2nd March, it left Gravesend in England and headed off to Australia. On the 1st of June, unfortunately, Captain Gibb, who was on watch, he didn't party with the other people who were celebrating pretty much being in Australia and very close to Melbourne. He decided rather than celebrating, he would keep the watch. And unfortunately, because the mist and fog came in, it got so hard to see. He wasn't actually literally able to see for 36 hours to get his bearings. And what happened was suddenly the mist did clear and he was a kilometre out. You would have thought that he could do something, but not in that size ship and not with a sailing boat. So as soon as the mist cleared, they could see the cliffs of Muttonbird Island. And the watch yelled out, "Cliffs!" and it was too late. At that stage, the captain attempted to get the sails up and attempt to sail out of trouble, but it was too late. And it all happened quite quickly. As soon as it hit the rocks, the masts come down, and that actually crushed some people. That was their death. A lot of people were knocked over. 36 crew and 18 passengers. And by the way, most of those passengers were quite wealthy. one of the families on the ship was the Carmichaels, which consisted of the father, who was a doctor, his wife, 4 daughters and 2 sons. And unfortunately, all of those perished bar one. That person who did survive was Eva Carmichael. What the captain did was he tied a life waist around Eva in an attempt to save her. Meanwhile, another person had happened to save themselves, and that was Tom Pearce. He was the apprentice on the ship. What happened was she was swept overboard and she was bobbing around in the sea for around at least 2 hours. And Tom got knocked over and also fell in the water, and he was treading water for a long time with his, he'd actually managed to find an upturned lifeboat. He eventually got to shore, and after he got his breath, he could hear Eva Carmichael screaming out. So he then jumped in the water, swam out, managed to get her, brought her back to shore. At this stage she was unconscious. He put her on shore and made certain that she was okay and put him in a little cave. He then climbed up this very, very steep hill, which you'll see out there, the big cliffs. He climbed up that and managed to get hold of one of the local farmers. And that farmer's name was Hugh Gibson, hence Gibson Steps. Hugh got a whole heap of people, as many people as he could find, to go down and see who they could rescue. Unfortunately, they only ever got 4 bodies out of the wreck, and meanwhile they managed to get Eva and Tom back to shore, and Eva and Tom actually stayed at Hugh's farm for a little while they were recouping. Later on, Tom and Eva were transported to Melbourne, where they had a massive reception, and a lot of the people all chipping into some cash and everything to make their life a little bit better. And also Tom received £1,000 and a gold medal for his bravery. So that was a good effort. All the people at the time, in the press at the time, were very keen for Tom and Eva to marry. And off the record, Eva said, look, she would consider marrying Tom, except Tom was really quite working class and she was from a wealthy background, so it was never really going to work because they had very little in common. Eva ended up going back to Ireland and married and died when she was about 89, and Tom ended up being a captain and in another shipwreck, poor guy, and he got married and he ended up dying at 49. So that's a bit of a brief on the whole area. Hope that helps. If you make it to the cemetery, you'll find the stone here, which was a stone put up for the Carmichael family, put up by Eva, and Eva was one of the 2 survivors. So that whole family was wiped out. I think the 7 of them died on the Loch Ard. The other amazing thing is with Thomas, they held a really big celebration in Melbourne for him and made him quite the hero. And at the time they were hoping desperately that Tom and Eva would marry, but that didn't eventuate. Eva ended up going back to Ireland, and the 2 of them never met again. If you're going to treat yourself to anything along the coast here, you've got to go to 12 Apostles, outstanding. Gibson Steps is very good, and this is the grotto. It's definitely well worth walking down the stairs. They're not too severe, and you get this view, which is quite magical. that wraps up this week, and next week it'll all be about, hopefully, the American trip. Tomorrow is the all-important American consulate interview. Now, if you found the video useful, helpful and or entertaining, please give it a thumbs up. And if you think the video is worth sharing, that too, as always, I'd be appreciative. Until next time, this is Paul Will Drive, signing off.